For the next 7 days, I'll be eating nothing but gas station food. That's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. With over 148,000 convenience stores across the US, they're basically America's most consistent roadside diners and are a great option if you're in need of a quick bite, a drink, or some other things. Come along with me on this journey to see if I can make it through a week of eating rotating mystery meats and overly processed foods. The rules are simple. They're the basic YouTuber starter pack of rules. Rule number 1, all food and drinks must come from gas stations besides water. Rule number 2, I must at least go to the gas station 3 times a day. And rule number 3, every day for lunch I have to use the spin wheel, or what I like to call the wheel of stipulations. And as a little side quest, because I commute an hour and a half to work, I will be attempting to reach 10,000 steps each day to counteract all the food that I'll be eating. For a side note, I won't be going out of my way to get healthy options. I'm just going to grab what I want. And for shiz and giggles, I decided to weigh myself on day 1 to see what kind of toll this is going to take on my muffin top. Hopping straight into day 1, I worked up an appetite at the gym, so I hit up the closest gas station, which was an extra mile. Extra miles are everywhere, and I'll be going there a lot. Like most of my trips will be from an extra mile. I looked around, but I felt the need for some protein in my life, so I grabbed this oversized Pop-Tart protein pastry, say that 5 times real fast, and a protein shake. I think my toxic trait is parking at gas pumps, knowing I'm not going to get gas. Protein shake tasted like strawberry milk, and the pastry tasted like strawberry gains. No, it just tasted like a really dry Pop-Tart. For most lunches, I'll be at this Vallejo grab and go as I only have 30 minutes for lunch. Before I enter the grab and go, I spun the wheel for the first time and got what I thought would be a cake challenge of staying under $5. But apparently I have no idea what things cost these days. I just assumed that a watermelon Red Bull and sour Skittles would easily be under $5, but I was wrong. Like 37 cents wrong. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm highly competitive, and losing my first ever spin wheel challenge is gonna hurt my soul forever. Safe to say that I suck at this because I'm officially 0-1 for the wheel of stipulations, as I came in at $5.37. And all I got to show for it is this Red Bull. It's the zero sugar watermelon edition, and this small bag of Skittles. The Red Bull was refreshing and gave me a shot of caffeine that I needed badly, as my pre-workout is off limits this week. And well, the sour Skittles tasted, as you could have guessed, sour. On a side note, I once had a close friend tell me that if he ever got divorced, that he was going to taste the rainbow, which I really didn't understand because Skittles are like $2.50. It's nothing to get divorced about, and they all pretty much taste the same, so I don't know what the hype is all about. For dinner, I headed to the extra mile again. This station is fairly new and clean on the inside, and after looking around, I settled for a box of chicken strips, a box of wedges, and this fragile icy. While the icy was delicious, the strips were bland and the wedges were just outright dog water. I don't even think these wedges could pass for dog food. It's like too mashed potato-y, for lack of a better description. It's very mushy in the middle, tough on the outside. And then overall soggy. One of the worst wedges I've ever had. After finishing my dinner, it was finally time to address my side quest of 10,000 steps for the day. I decided to take a walk with my wife and little one. I'm fortunate that my neighborhood has some really nice walking trails that I finally got a chance to take advantage of. I finished the day spending a total of $25.20, and this is when I realized that this was going to be a crazy expensive week. The prices were so high, in fact, that I decided to put my business degree to work and figure out what the average markup on food items are at these so-called convenience stores. Well, here's your answer. To start day 2, I decided to stiff my pre-workout as I was severely lacking energy, but I still dragged my butt over to the gym to get some extra steps in. I realized that after recording this that I like to pick my treadmills like I pick urinals. Refer to this photo. For breakfast, I headed back to the extra mile to get a coffee and this breakfast burrito. It got a little awkward when the payment wouldn't go through, but it worked out in the end. I mostly avoid items like this breakfast burrito because I always feel like it would cause some sort of bubble guts, but I got lucky this time. For lunch, the spin wheel decided to take it easy on me and just limited me to 2 items, which is my usual. If I'm being honest, it's not much of a challenge, but I'm not complaining. I picked up a Pepsi Zero and a chicken sandwich. The Pepsi Zero is my preferred drink of choice, and the chicken sandwich was surprisingly good. I was a little worried that the chicken would taste like the extra mild chicken, but it wasn't too bad. For dinner, I decided to mix it up and head over to the Flying J. The Flying J had to be one of the nicest gas stations that I visited during this challenge and had some good food options. I looked around and chose this mac and cheese chicken bowl, a double steak burger, and a nice coffee. When I got to my car, I took a sip of the coffee and realized that I may have grabbed the wrong straw because after one sip, all the coffee was gone and just the ice remained. I felt a little ripped off. For the food, the mac and cheese chicken bowl may have been the best thing I've eaten for this whole challenge. And as for the double steak burger, it probably should have been called the double mistake burger, am I right? Maybe not. It was mid. For my daily challenge of 10,000 steps, I had already reached it during the day by going to the gym earlier, so I had time to play with the little one. I ended the day spending a total of $31.25, bringing my total for the week to $56.45. My wife is going to want some answers. I started day 3 by grabbing this coffee from the 7-Eleven. At this point in the challenge, I started to feel low on energy and appetite, but I figured I'd grab something bigger for lunch. That was until the spin wheel said psych and limited me to drinks only, so I grabbed this protein shake and another icy. For dinner, I headed back to the Extra Mile where I picked up this hot dog where I added some jalapeno cheese on top. Thought that'd be a good idea. This pub burger and a Pepsi Zero to use as a chaser. Now the hot dog was a really bad option because as soon as I bit into it, the bun just fell apart. What's the bun for? This shit just collapsed. And the food went everywhere. It was pretty messy and it was really bland. The pub burger, on the other hand, probably moonlights as a UFC fighter because it choked the hell out of me. I ended the day at the gym to reach my step goal, and I ended up spending $21.10 for the day and a $77.55 total for the week so far, and we're not even halfway. Day 4, the halfway point. I woke up late and ended up at this PM branded station. I don't have it recorded, but at this station, they made me buy my coffee cup first before getting the coffee, which really confused me, and to this day, I still don't know why it bothers me. Set up like some secret trigger that I have off, but you know, I still got the coffee and this bag of Hostess donuts, which if you know, you know. The plan was to drink my coffee and eat the donuts here and there, but after reading how much calories are in the donut, I decided to pawn the bag off on a coworker. For lunch, the spin wheel finally showed me some love and I got to pick out 3 items. I ended up picking these ranch branded chips, a Pepsi Zero, and this huge barbecue pork sandwich that looked like it was wrapped by Alex Jones. The barbecue pork sandwich was really tasty, but ended up giving me a facial, and it was the messiest thing I had to eat by far in this whole challenge. And a couple of pieces fell in the car. My wife hates it when I eat in the car for this very reason. The chips were not to my liking and are still on my kitchen counter till this day. For dinner, I ended up back at my favorite establishment, the Extra Mile, and chose this incredible combo of 2 taquitos and 2 of what I like to call chicken logs and a Rockstar recovery drink. This whole meal was forgettable. To reach my steps for the day, I got the whole family together for a scenic walk. I finished the day spending $29.57, bringing the total to $107.12 for the week. Day 5, I decided to spice things up a little bit. I headed over to the Circle K where I grabbed this English toffee coffee, and halfway filling up my cup, I noticed a sign that listed the calorie amounts, which kind of shocked me. I also looked to see if they had any donuts, but all they had were these half-baked cookies for $5.40. I couldn't justify spending $5 on a single cookie, let alone some half-cooked ones. I made it to lunch on the near 500 calories that my coffee gave me for breakfast. But the spin wheel decided to get me again by limiting me to only 1 item. So I knew that I was either going to be hungry or thirsty all the way till dinner. For my 1 item, I decided to go with a 4-piece chicken strips. Now, that's 4 things, but I figured that the 1 item is the 4-piece, and I was going back and forth in my head, but you guys let me know if that was breaking the rules or not, because I like to think that I just outsmarted the system on this one. The strips were surprisingly tasteful and crunchy. I would eat again. For dinner, I decided to swing by the infamous alien-themed Power Mart. This place was pretty cool and had lots of snacks and a large drink selection, but it did not have a lot of food selections. I looked around and decided to grab another Frazzle Icy because why not? And this big ass rib sandwich, which turned out to be quite tasty. To get my steps in for day 5, I decided to take another walk, but my camera was dead. I did, however, get to take this photo of my son Jace after falling down and losing both of his shoes. Only he could do that. I finished day 5 spending $20.65, bringing my total to $127.77 for the week. I may never recover from this. It's day 6 now, and I think this challenge is really starting to take a toll on me. I think the ices, the processed foods, and the energy drinks, they're all starting to catch up. So I decided to double down. At the 7-Eleven, I decided to grab another coffee and a fresh donut. And a fun fact is that gas stations sell more coffee than Starbucks annually. Look it up. I grabbed the coffee because I was in need of caffeine in the worst way, as I thought this plastic sheet was a bag, and I tried for several minutes to open it, only to realize that it was just a sheet to grab the donuts. I don't want to talk about it. Anyways, for lunch, I decided to grab these 2 bags of Tra-la-la-la-la gummies. But before you judge my decisions, look at the choices that I had. Because the spin wheel decided that today would be a candy-only lunch. I also wanted to grab the strawberry lemonade Kit Kat because it looked interesting, but it had a lot of dust on the package and decided against it.
Next time, baby.
For my penultimate dinner, I decided to give the Flying J another chance. That mac and cheese bowl has been on my mind, but they didn't have it this time. I decided to grab this sandwich, another burger, which for some reason the weight felt off to me, so I decided to lift another one. But then I remembered the first time it was a double burger, and these were singles. I also grabbed this C4 energy drink. I slammed my dinner and headed home to take another walk to reach my steps goal. I spent $27.17 for the day and $154.94 so far for the week, with one last day to go. And I can't wait for this to be over. Day 7, ironically, was the first day that I didn't have to work for the challenge, so I decided to hit the gym and work up an appetite. I headed over to the Extra Mile, where I actually had Jace help me pick out my breakfast. This one, you pick. Which one? This one? Okay, we'll go with this one. After breakfast, I headed over to one of my favorite stores, the SF Supermarket, where we did some grocery shopping and possibly picked up supplies for my next challenge. For lunch, I spun the wheel one last time and the stars would align to give me a shot at redemption as it landed on the $5 limit. Pretty much knew that with today's prices that this is the same thing as one item. So I grabbed this rib sandwich. It was a tad on the dry side, but it was my fault as I didn't grab any sauces or toppings when I was in the store. For my final meal of this whole challenge, I decided to walk to the nearest gas station with my son Logan and kill a bird with 2 stones, as this would help me reach my steps for the day also. We ended up at this Loop gas station, which felt kind of bougie because as soon as you walked in, there was this wine stand that kind of felt out of place, but then kind of didn't. I grabbed one final Frazzle Icy, a chicken sandwich, and a cup of barbecue chicken bites.
7 days, 21 meals, and we finally arrived at the last bite. The last bite of only eating gas station food for 7 days. I'm very grateful for this to be over. It was very expensive. It was just very expensive. We did it.
I ended up spending $18.98 for the day and $173.92 for the whole challenge. This has been a long, challenging week for me, but also a great new experience, where I got to visit 8 different locations across 21 trips, walked a total of 76,554 steps, spent a total of $173.92 on junk food, and I lost 2 pounds.